So I'm going to show you some traffic bits in just a few minutes. But first of all, we're going to talk to Alex from Entropy about measurement. Alex, come on and introduce yourself.
Hi, thanks, Andy. Yeah, I'm Alex Tate. I'm the founder of Entropy. Entropy Group's a hybrid business consultancy and agency that specialises in e-commerce, media, and measurement. And we're a mix of client-side agency and data science people that work with brands to help them grow. And we've got a lot of client-side experience amongst us, so we've often done similar jobs to the people that we work with. Some of the brands we've got experience from include Unilever, Argos, Harvey Nichols, and D2C brands like Seedlit.
Okay, so what is it then that we were going to kind of focus on here? I said that generally it's about sort of measurement. What's the sort of main thrust of it?
Well, I think looking at your benchmark data, it's obviously clear there's a lot of brands and sectors having a tough trading time at the moment. And I think, like, depending on the sector you're in, some brands seem to be saying, I think, that they're feeling like, especially the ones that do well over COVID, that it feels like a bit of a COVID hangover. So they've had quite aggressive sales targets and expectations for a couple of years, but now they're encountering, obviously, a softer market, tougher economic conditions and trading environment, and changing consumer behaviour in a lot of categories as well. The reason I wanted to focus on measurement is that actually when we impartially go in and look at how organisations can grow, one of the low-hanging fruit that often organisations aren't that self-aware about outside of the marketing team is really measurement, actually, for helping them grow and reframing how they're looking at measurement.
Okay, so are they sort of getting it right at the minute, or would you suggest that there's perhaps they're doing something wrong?
Well, I think the good litmus test of this is actually I've done a lot of presentations over the last, I've been at different conferences over the last couple of months, including IMRG Connect, I might say. And one of the things I've done just to read the room, which is a bit hard to do in an environment like this, is to just get brands to put their hands in the air and give me a sense of what their predominant sort of method of attribution is. And what I've seen pretty consistently is that 2/3 of the room put their hands up and say that they're relying on last click. And there's nothing wrong with last click in the sort of right sort of place, but it is kind of amazing when you think about it. And just to give a little sort of anecdote, if I think back to my sort of career, probably about 10, and I've been client side just in every sort of role I did before Entropy. About 10 years ago, I was leading a change program, including measurement for a very large multinational, working across all of its international markets. And one of the things I was doing was moving it from beyond last click to a multi-touch attribution methodology. And it was it wasn't a surprise to me, but it was really interesting to see how by changing its approach to measurement from last click to multi-touch attribution, it changed its media mix very significantly. So it was doing a lot more upper funnel media that was driving profitable growth with its lower funnel media, and ultimately unlocking a lot of profit for the business. And multi-touch attribution isn't really possible anymore because of different factors that are at play that are leading to most brands that we speak to at the moment reappraising how they're doing measurement. You've got the impact of GDPR, you've got cookies being phased out, Apple's iOS changes, but really sort of best practice these days, we've got a framework where we just try and keep it really simple. If anyone and any supplier comes in to talk to you and they say they've got the silver bullet for measurement, they're not really telling you an objective truth. I think we think there are three things you need to do. You need to obviously use in-platform optimization for platforms like Meta and Google. Ensure you've got, very importantly, a structured approach to testing, but also that you're looking at, and more brands are more and more looking at advanced statistical techniques like marketing mix modeling, also known as MMM or econometrics interchangeably, in case you come across those terms, is seeing quite a resurgence because of the way it can give you a holistic view of attribution without relying on things like PII and data.
Okay, so if someone is kind of interested in change, because like last click isn't perfect. I think a lot of people say it isn't. But how do they go about actually sort of changing the approach? It's one of the things. It's easy to say, isn't it?
And it's easy to say, and it's easy to say. And I think I think when you're thinking about the right approach to measurement, the right approach to attribution, one of the things that we advise that organizations do is actually just try to think about what questions you're trying to answer with attribution. And obviously, if you're looking at sort of last click, you're obviously getting a sort of a like-for-like view across some digital channels. But really, when you take a step back from all of that, and you think about, for example, what's really driving my business? So across everything, what are the drivers of my business? Obviously, what media channels? So having the biggest ROI. It's always a one that everyone's interested in. Like, how do I optimize that channel mix for the best performance? Am I spending too much on media? How much would I spend to hit my target? Ask those questions, and alongside all of that, try to map the drivers of your business. And it varies by drivers of business. It's what's driving the performance of your business. And that varies by business and by type of organization. But it'll include things like pricing and promotion, seasonality. Obviously, you're talking about the weather at the moment, and the weather is certainly a driver of a lot of businesses, as well as competitor activity, like the digital channels like Google, Meta, etc. But also, of course, sort of non-digital channels like TV, radio, etc. If that's part of your plan too.
Okay, well, I think we're just going to show a couple of slides. Just wanted you to talk us through. You sort of mentioned econometrics. So this is just to kind of give the audience a bit of a lowdown of what we mean.
Yeah, and it basically gives you a apples for apples comparison across those drivers. So if you look at, and it really brings it to life, I think. And if you've never done econometrics or MMM in your organization, this is quite a light bulb moment often for people. If you look at the left of that chart, there's a bar that's the base. So actually, what would happen if you switched everything off? So how much, if you're a D2C business, you're very reliant on media. If you're a multi-channel business, you have a less reliance on it. But how much would remain if you just switched all your activity off? It's always an interesting one to start with. But then you can look across all the other drivers, things like seasonality, pricing and promotion effects, through to different media channels. So the digital channels you'll be reporting on if you're looking at last click, through like display, could be like TikTok, could be obviously sort of search, through to non-digital channels like TV, radio, out of home, but also things like CRM activity that to a lot of online retailers is very important, through to things like influencers as well, and earned media. So on the right hand side, econometrics, sounds like a bit of a dark art, but actually I think this and the next slide actually sort of demystify what some of the output of it looks like. The right hand side is the same data, but just a time series approach, showing that breakdown in a different format over a time series approach. But if you move on to the next slide, then this is, sorry, it's a bit small actually, some of the legend on it. But basically across the top, you'll get a view of obviously if you're looking across channels, what your spend is, what your revenue is, there we've got your revenue ROI, but you can add to that profit ROI, which you always sort of recommend. And then you use this data to work out basically how you should optimize your mix. So the red is stuff you should be pulling back on in terms of spend because you're putting too much budget into it. The green is stuff you should be investing more in. And it really has a significant sort of impact when you go through a process of looking at measurement and attribution and optimization in this way. It's just a snapshot, but on the next slide, if you want to find out more about it, there's a bigger description and some examples on our website if you zap that QR code.
Okay, just final thing, what would you sort of recommend people do from here?
Well, I think in summary, really, it's like I think a lot of online retailers in particular, and pretty much everyone we speak to in the market, I think, is having a lot of trouble with GA4 and wrapping their head around the changes there. So it's digital channels and sort of marketing is basically getting more complex to manage and to measure. And we're recommending, I think, if you just want to keep it really simple in terms of what some of the takeouts are, understanding channels can be seen to be getting more difficult, not easier. So thinking about working objectively around structured testing, in-platform optimization, and attribution methods like econometrics and MMM is really, I think, like a big part of the future of, if we go ahead 2 years from now, and we were having this conversation, the penetration of using techniques like econometrics and marketing mix modeling is really opening up to a much bigger market than it has historically. Historically, it's been quite slow, it's been quite expensive, but some of the techniques being developed now, and we're pioneering a lot of those, make it a lot cheaper or more cost effective, so you can really sync it in with your planning cycles. And clients with us that work with us do it every quarter, for example. So it's becoming a lot more accessible and a lot more widespread. And it's just a great way of really understanding how you get past that what media planners call diminishing returns of spending and then seeing your profit drop off. How do you get past that and drive extra growth?
Okay. Alex, thanks very much for sharing that.